Welcome to the Bruins Benders Podcast, Season 4, Episode 22, 4 Nations, and we are live. Maddie and Smitty brought to you on the Inside the Rink Podcast Network at InsideTheRink.com. In this episode, we will discuss Charlie McAvoy's injury and now infection and how it was handled by the Team USA staff. How many more signs does Don Sweeney need to sell off a ton of pieces of this Bruins team, and who wins the 4 Nations Championship tomorrow night? All that and more right here on this very episode. Hit subscribe on Inside the Rink's YouTube channel and follow us on social media at Bruins Benders. Use this QR code on your screen to purchase event tickets through Ticketmaster. Get your Bruins tickets for the rest of the season right there and help support the show. Follow us each on X at Bender Smitty, at Mr. Matty Barry. And here we are back at it. Smitty, tan is wearing off already, but he is back from his escape to Clearwater Beach, Tampa area. And we are back at it live. We haven't had any post games, so we've been doing the live thing here on the episodes, and we appreciate everybody joining in with us tonight as we prepare for 4 Nations Championship coming up. So we were wrong, huh?
Yeah, we thought the tournament wasn't going to be much of anything. We didn't think people would be interested. We weren't sure if the players would be into it. That was answered pretty quickly in the preliminary round, U.S. versus Canada, with 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. Sure. And the ratings have been off the charts. You know, the USA Canada game had 10 million views, 10 million viewers across the United States and Canada, or around there, and it's the most watched non-Stanley Cup game since 2014 or something like that, or 2016.
11 years, yeah.
So
11 years.
The people are into it, and I'll tell you what, I'm one of them. I'm digging it. I'm really the hockey's been great. All the teams have been into it, and it's fun. It's fun when it's best on best and they make great plays, and you see all the greatest players out there for the most part out there together, and it's good stuff. It really is.
Well, it's definitely good when they take it seriously, and they play hard. And I really thought it was a kind of a contrived thing by the NHL to try to get you interested, and the players were kind of talking about it like it was greatest thing since sliced bread, and you were like kind of roll your eyes at it. But boy, they've come out to play. In the very first game, it was a great game with Canada and Sweden, I think it was.
Yeah,
Canada gets the win, and
overtime, right?
Marner, and it started the ball rolling. Of course, having it in Montreal and Boston, it was a great idea because those are 2 rabid cities with hockey fans, and so that works for sure. But interesting that they started in Montreal and ended in Boston. Canada probably wishes they flipped that, but and then there was the anthem thing and the political thing that's added on to it, and of course the 3 fights that started the Canada-US game just 9 seconds in or whatever it was. So settling some old scores. I think it was Brady Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, and Matt Tkachuk was in there, and it was just kind of
was it Matt Tkachuk and Hagel? Did they go?
Was it Hagel? Yeah.
And then who was the last fight? Because there was 3.
Yeah. I'm not sure who
it was JT Miller and
Colton Parayko.
Colton Parayko. Parayko beat the bag out of him.
He did. Yeah. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mistake.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been pretty exciting, honestly. And I was tuning in. I was watching it from a bar in Florida. We got them to put the game on at the bar. Other people wanting to watch, the NBA All-Star thing and whatnot, and it was like
Texas Ranger,
like just whatever, auto racing or some shit. I don't know, but whatever. And we got them to put it on, and then everybody that was, the people started kind of coming towards where we were to see, because we were all like, making noise and hooting and hollering because of the fight so early on, and brought some more people in, and then most people were watching it through to the end of the game, and it was a good atmosphere at the games, and certainly where I was watching it too.
Yeah, I mean it's been a pleasant surprise, and whether or not they do this every 4 years or not, looks like they might. And I the thing about it is that and we'll talk more about this, is that you just wondered, with this late in the season, with so much at stake in the NHL, that whether or not players would really put full force into it, and they haven't, and they've been getting injured.
Yeah,
Taylor's gone, of course. Charlie McAvoy's out, and people are getting injured, which sets up for the last 25 or so games of the season, where you're missing guys who are top players on your team, because there's only top players here. So this creates an interesting end to the season, because if the wear and tear from this at all, even though it's a short tournament, any type of wear and tear from it could result in, sort of, I don't know, teams maybe missing out or not being able to have deep runs, or missing key players as they head to the playoffs.
Austin Matthews got a little banged up, and he missed practice the other day. Both the Chuck brothers were banged up. Matthew, missed the last game. Matthews missed the last game. I mean, they held him out too, but there's been some bumps and bruises, and of course Charlie McAvoy with the worst of it. It appears.
Yeah, and that's not great, and we'll talk about that very shortly in Chirps. But all the more reason for the Bruins to probably sell this thing to high heavens. But tomorrow night it'll be a good thing for hockey, and should be a great game. And it'll be interesting also to see if guys are going to be able to come back, like Brad Marchand and Jeremy Swayman come back to practice Saturday morning. They have a game Saturday night. It's sort of it. They have to kind of, flip the switch, and let's see if they're able to do that. Swayman hasn't played, but Marchand flipping the switch would be, it'd be a tough one for him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. There are people talking about, I think somebody asked Marchand, like, can this give, the Bruins a lift, or, guys who have been here and played and then going back to the Bruins, can it give them a lift? And he was very quick to kind of shoot that down. He's like, oh, no, I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Not probably not. Like, not really.
That's a tough one.
Because I don't know. It's a different level of play. There's a different intensity to it. It's kind of it's like playoffs. It's a short tournament. One and you're done kind of a thing. It's not a 7-game series. Sure. This is like a game 7. This is like a Stanley Cup final game 7. For sure. And for all the marbles. So it's going to be pretty intense. And we'll see, if guys like Swayman and Marchand and the other guys around the league can come back to their regular teams and play well, or not have a letdown, kind of coming back to regular season hockey after participating in the tournament.
Yeah. All right. 7 Chirps is sponsored by Lobster Brewing. Lobster Brewing and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers, open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS to get 10% off your online order. Go to lobsterbrewing.com. Follow them at Lobster Brewing for new beers and events. Chirp 1. Charlie McAvoy, week to week with an infection from a shoulder injury he suffered. Some think it might have been the Joel Armia hit that caused it. All the more reason to be sellers if McAvoy is out, which Joe Sacco says is not going to be short term.
Yeah, week to week makes it sound like it's going to be long term.
Yeah, sure.
If he's still in the hospital, or has been in the hospital up until today, or I don't know when he got released, or if he has been released.
He was in there today, as far as I know, for about noontime.
Yeah. So that doesn't bode particularly well. If he had an injury, had to be rushed to the hospital for emergency type surgery.
Sure.
To clean out the infection, and then he had a serious injury to the AC joint in his shoulder. I guess it wasn't his surgically repaired shoulder.
No, it was the left shoulder. That was the left shoulder.
Yeah. So great. So now both his shoulders are fucked up.
That's right.
Sorry, John. And so he's going to be a while. And then you have the Hampus Lindholm, who we thought was going to be ready, but he's not really practicing with the team. He's still skating on his own. Yeah. So what's going on there? Yeah. And are they holding him out on purpose? I don't know. But it makes it feel like the Bruins are getting ready to sell them some pieces off. Will they do it? I won't believe it until it actually happens. I really won't, because I feel like Don Sweeney will do everything in his power to try to keep his job. So if they come out and win a few games, I don't think he sells. I think he's waiting until the last possible second.
I'm with you. They just make it seem like that they're waiting for these 7 games. Like these 7 games are going to tell you anything.
Yeah.
And they're playing Anaheim, so they come out and they win the first game. Like I'm just as worried as you are that they're going to be in a playoff position. If they're in a playoff position, I find it really hard to believe that they're going to sell off as many pieces as they need to. I think it might be Trent Frederic, and that's about it. Like they might add a depth defenseman, because now they have no defenseman, so they might add a depth defenseman, maybe a 4th liner or 3rd liner or some guy, some veteran, expiring contract. That's about it. Like I think I found it hard to believe if they're in a playoff position that they would do that. This is not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it drives me. I mean, I've made my feelings pretty well known on the whole thing.
Sweens.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, producer hitting it right.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm with you. I don't. Connor Green seems to think they're selling 7 guys, and I'm thinking maybe one. Like maybe one.
I hope.
I don't think. I pray.
Yeah.
I pray.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, you can pray to your God.
Pray to the hot gods.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I don't see it happening. I don't.
Yeah.
Chirp too. Why does Charlie McAvoy? Why did he look like a different player? Here's another thing. He was playing out of his ass. Like, and I'm wondering, Charlie Coyle was saying how he was watching the game and how great Charlie McAvoy looked and how great it was to see and how fired up he was to see him play like that. Why doesn't he play like that in Boston with the Bruins?
It's a good question, and all I can say with that is it's the same thing you would say about a guy like, I'm not comparing him to Milan Lucic, but a guy like Milan Lucic when he used to hit all the time.
Yeah,
you can't sustain that over the course of an 82 game season. So in a short tournament like that, he's going to go out hurt, because apparently he was hurt Saturday when he faced Canada.
Yep,
and lay the wood to guys like the McAvoy's first hit on Connor McDavid might have changed the tenor of the game. That might have been the play that changed the tenor of the game, because USA came down after that and scored to tie it. And then, he hit him again later on. He hit Crosby a couple times. He had 5 or 6 hits in the game. He was a difference maker, and he set a tone along with, obviously, with the fights early on. But, that's a guy that, if he does play like that, you hope it comes around come playoff time.
Sure.
But they're not going to be there. They're not going to get there.
Right. Well, that's closer to a $9.5 million player than
absolutely.
What we've seen.
Yeah, sure.
What we've seen has not been a game-changing player.
So here's the other thing. When you're surrounded by great players, it's easier to play better, right?
Right.
When your defense partner is, Jacob Slavin or Noah Hannafin or Zach Werenski, for crying out loud, you're going to probably play better than if your D partner is, Mason Lohrei, who's turning it over left and right and center, or,
Jordan Osterley.
Jordan Osterley or Parker Wotherspoon.
Yeah.
You're probably going to play better. You're probably going to be more excited to come to the rink when you have a good team. So that probably plays into it as well, I would think.
And when you pass it ahead to Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll catch it.
When you can make a little play and give it to a guy who has actual speed and can blow by some guys instead of passing it to Justin Brazeau, who has to take 2 strides and dump it in. That's probably why. I could be completely wrong. I could be going out on a limb that's a little too heavy and maybe I'll fall, but I don't think so. I think it's because the team is better, and he's excited to be there.
It was funny. A couple of days ago, B asked me, "Did you get T-Boz's T-shirt yet?" I said, "What do you mean, the T-shirt that he's winning for me?" And I said, "No, the guy still has 10 goals. He hasn't had 15 goals yet." She's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, he doesn't even play much anymore."
Yeah.
She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, he stinks." That's why
he's had 10 goals for like a month
a
now.
long time. Like now we're getting down to the stretch. He needs 5 goals in the next 25 games. Not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee, but
10 in the first 60.
Yeah, you might have to do it just, out of the
I might just send it to him. 14 goals, send it to him. Actually, he gets traded. That's another beaut.
You should, if they trade him, you should send him the shirt.
I'll send him the shirt if they get traded. Traded or 15 goals. Both either way.
Yeah.
Because I'll be just as happy.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. He gets traded. Somebody else's problem now. Like score 15 over there. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, chirp number 3. Team USA medical staff treated Charlie McAvoy. Now there are complications. Now this is the Minnesota Wild.
Yes.
Ty Anderson said that tonight. Minnesota Wild staff that had a kind of a weird report on Pat Maroon when the Bruins acquired him, and they weren't happy about that. Now they're not happy at all about this.
Yeah.
So what is going on here? And here's the thing about it, and Connor brings it up in the group chat that we had. Don Sweeney's at the friggin' tournament. Like he's not checking in. He's not like, how does this see? To me, he's a general manager in this tournament. Like he's part of the thing. He's part of the reason why isn't this all buttoned up? Like why does this happen? And this isn't the only thing. It's also the replacement players and who can you use and who can't you use and how many slots do you have? And it just seems to be like they didn't think of some of the things that could occur. And this is one of them. Like this is an infection that seems to be serious. And, hockey equipment, you can't, if you have an infection of any kind, you can't wear hockey equipment until that thing's cleared up. Like hockey equipment holds bacteria like nothing else in the world. It's gross.
It is disgusting.
You can't have an infection and wear your equipment. So what is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they gave him a shot so he could play Saturday, or if they didn't tell him the injury was as severe as it was, or it was McAvoy's own call and he just said, "Look, I'm playing through it. I'm playing."
He 100% did that, and he would be able to play for the Bruins. Like that's true. So
he would have done.
That's to me. That's not the issue. The issue is if they didn't treat it well and he gets an infection. That's the issue. He's going to players play and players talk the staff out of it all the time. I don't buy that thing, but the infection thing is weird.
Yeah, the infection thing. Did they give him a shot with like a dirty needle? Like, what's going on? And they did have a problem with the Pat Maroon medicals. That they didn't think they were as maybe complete as, or disclosed everything that they should have. So the Bruins weren't happy about that either. So, this goes back a little ways, and producer Connor here wants to weigh in a little bit.
I did pick up on an Elliot Friedman interview that he did on one of the Sportsnet radio programs today. And he also alluded to the fact that McAvoy went into the post, had the shoulder injury, and the high speculation is he was given a shot so he could continue to play that game. Okay. And that's where they think it's coming from. That's where the
infection happened. So as Hasmick says in the comments, that his guess is they didn't properly clean the site before giving him an injection so he could play. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, that, or they give him the needle and then there's they don't patch it properly. Right. And like you said, the hockey gear is disgusting. He sweats all the gear, the bacteria, all stuff gets in that shot area and causes the infection.
Sure.
So, there's ways but you got to patch that, put some liquid skin over that shit or something, clean it up. Yeah. That's not something that should happen. Guys get shots all the time. Like Bergeron played through a punctured lung and a fractured rib.
Oh, sure.
You don't think he didn't get shot up before he did that?
Mark Recchi had kidney stones and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
So guys get shot up. It happens. But, you got to be able to clean that up and take care of it properly so that, stuff like this doesn't happen.
Sure. Chirp 4, how often should this Four Nations tourney be, and should it be expanded?
It should definitely be expanded. And they've talked about other stuff too. They've talked about the World Cup of Hockey, which is that the same thing as this? Like,
yeah, I see the NHL is going to fuck this up.
They absolutely will.
They've already fucked up the Winter Classic. They're going to fuck this up.
Yeah, because they're going to do it too often now.
Yes.
And they're
going to have Four Nations, then World Cup, then Olympics, and it's just going to be once a year something new.
It's going to get greedy. And it's going to make it watered down. It's going to make it not as special. Part of the reason, in my opinion, that the tournament did so well and people were so interested in watching is because it hasn't happened in a long time.
Right.
It's been a long time since they've had
many of us haven't played for US yet.
Yeah.
In any fashion, except for World Junior.
Right. So it's been a long time coming for this. And so people are interested. And look, it did well, so people will remain interested. Yeah. But you can't do it every year. That's why the Olympics is great. That's why every 4 years is great. If you want to do it every 2 years and do a Four Nations and an Olympics, or the World Cup of Hockey and then the Olympics, great. But don't do 3 and 4 years or whatever it is. Like, don't fuck it up.
Right.
Please, for the love of Christ, do not fuck it up.
Right. Because then you'll have guys backing out of playing because they're playing too much hockey, and they've already played for the US last year. They're not going to want to play this year. So it's going to get to that point where it's like all-star game again. So I just say, Four Nations and Olympics, like Olympics and then Four Nations, and then, every 4 years for both of them. And
I think they should expand it to either 6 or 8. I mean, you got to include Russia, you got to include Czech, and then if you want to throw, Germany and Switzerland, or Germany or maybe have a team Europe or some shit like that. Like, I don't care.
Right.
But have 6 or 8 teams, because David Pastrnak is pissed about it. They asked him about it, and he was like, wasn't even going to go, and then he's like, well, there's guys I train with that play, for Sweden or whatever, so I'll go and watch the games. So like Nylander and some guys. And then they asked him who they thought was going to win, and he's like, I don't care. I don't care who wins the game, because he's not playing. It's the thing's taking place in his city, and he's got to sit and watch it from the stands.
Right. And Beecher won the World Championships for the first time ever. Yeah. And then so they were riding high, and then they aren't in this tournament.
No.
Like, so that pisses him off. Sure. He's like, we're the best team in the world right now. We won the World Championships. Like, why aren't we in it? And hey, awesome question. I have no idea.
Yeah. So they should be in it. So if you're gonna do a best on best tournament, you got to include everybody. You can't say I'm the best when there's only 4 teams.
Right. That's like the old NBA. That's like the 1948 NBA. Like, it's like the old original 6. You're the best team out of 6 teams.
It's not that's why the Olympics is great, because usually it's everybody's there. It's a big tournament. So that's what you need. If they're going to do this damn thing, they gotta expand it and have all the stars involved.
Make it 8, make it clean. That's it.
If it takes another half a week or something like that, do that. I think you could probably get it done in just probably one more game. Because if you just set it up where you had 2 divisions and you did the round robin thing, and then you just played a semifinal and a final, it's one more game.
There you go. That's it. You had your top 2 in each group, and then you had the winner. I'm with you. Chirp 5, when asked if this Four Nations tournament should give players some juice for the rest of the NHL season, Brad Marchand said, I don't know, dude. I'm not thinking about that right now. So I'll tell you, I don't know. It's just a bad look to say that. Like, Brad, say, we have 25 games to go. We're fighting for our lives with the Bruins. That when that time comes and we get back next Saturday, it's all guns blazing. But right now, playing for Team Canada, this is a lot of fun. Playing for my country means a lot to us, and we're going to go get it. That's all he has to say. Instead of, I don't know, dude.
he probably could have handled it better. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a weird question at the same time. Like, why would this, like, you as a single guy, why would this help your team? It's just one guy coming back. It's not like the entire team played in it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like the Bruins team played in this tournament and it could carry over to everyone. Like, so yeah, maybe Brad Marchand will play better, or Charlie McAvoy, or, maybe Elias Lindholm. But, the rest of the team hasn't played in 2 weeks. So how is it going to carry over to them? Like, it's a weird question. So, I mean, I think he could have handled it better. I think he could have answered it better. But at the same time, like, it's kind of a weird question to ask, I feel like.
No, it is. It is a kind of a baiting question, or it seems as though it is, like, almost like saying, is this more important than the Bruins season? Like, kind of thing. Like, you're setting them up for failure. So I get that. But it probably could have been handled better. But Marchand and those guys are all fired up about this. So they probably don't want to think about the NHL right now for 2 weeks. They just want to concentrate on this. And
Does
I get that too.
Connor have something to say?
Yeah, so I actually was making dinner before the show and was watching some hits from TSN and Sportsnet. And Chris Johnson and Pierre LeBrun were on a TSN hit. And Chris Johnson said something interesting about Marchand and said, he's probably sitting in this locker room and thinking about how this might be the last meaningful game that he plays in the TD Garden. And then Pierre LeBrun then chimed in and said, well, maybe even the Canadian Maple Leaf itself on the front of the jersey. But Chris Johnson was also one that had chimed in previously on the Brad Marchand potentially being moved. Mm-hmm. So to hear him say that again, kind of, I don't know, it makes me wonder. We've already kind of went down that rabbit hole. But
I'll be honest with you.
Together.
I think Marchand's getting traded. I still think it is. I've thought that before. I'm not getting off of it. I think he's getting traded. And all the signs lead up to him getting traded.
Yeah, I mean, they should. They should, if they want to rebuild and retool. But like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. I really do. I don't think it'll happen, because I just don't think Sweeney has the balls to make that kind of a move. So I don't think it will. I don't think it ultimately will happen. But I do agree, though, that it could be, his last time playing for Team Canada. I mean, who's to say he's going to make the Olympic team when it rolls around? Because he's getting up there in age, and there's other guys. Certainly, Canada has a deep talent pool. He might not make it. So this could be his last game for Team Canada, and he's probably trying to soak that in and whatnot. I get that. And possibly, I guess, could be, if he asks out, the Bruins have to do him a solid, I feel like. So it could be his last meaningful game at TD Garden. We'll see.
Do you think there's any way, as Hasmik says here, that Marchand retires at the end of the season?
No,
I don't think so either. I think he plays another 3 years, or wants to play another 3 years.
I think he'll play more. I don't know how much more, but he'll play more. He's still pretty good. Like, he's still pretty good. So, he can add something to a team.
Patrice Bergeron retired before he sucked too.
He did, but Bergeron, and maybe Marchand will feel the same way, but Bergeron had a lot more injury stuff towards the end, I feel like. I know Marchand's coming off of a lot of surgeries here, but prior to that, I think he was relatively healthy for a while. I mean, the hip, I guess, was a chronic thing, but overall, he hasn't had a ton of concussions or anything like that. So, maybe he's willing to stick it out a little bit longer.
I think there's a lot of juice there left, and I think he plays, and I think he gets traded, and I think he's going to go in as much as Don Sweeney is a what do you say, a sackless goof. I think Marchand goes into it and says, I request to be traded, and Sweeney does him a solid, because you love your core players and you do whatever you can for them. So he trades him. I really think it's going to be Marchand's call, and Sweeney's going to be trading him. And I think it's happening because of a lot of the things that have happened over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Starting with Swayman and the comments he made about that, to the Pastrnak thing with Rich Keefe, which I think had a little bit of juice to it. I don't know how much, but there was something there. This here with saying, well, it'd be weird not to play with the Bruins. Not like there's no way in hell I'm never playing with anybody but the Bruins. And now this is just, I don't know. It's all adding up to he's being too wishy-washy for me to believe that he's firm in staying with the Bruins.
You know what else is interesting is comments from other guys in the locker room talking about Marchand and his leadership and how well he leads. Like Cale Makar came out and was like, "I love the guy. Like he's keeps the locker room loose. He says things that need to be said, and so it's interesting.
And who does Makar play for?
I know, plays for the
Colorado Avalanche, who also has Nathan McKinnon, who is from Nova Scotia. Yeah.
So there's some stuff there, but it's interesting to hear him talk about Marchand, where we and others have maybe questioned his ability to lead this particular Bruins team, and maybe it's really not Marchand. Maybe it's not a Marchand problem. Maybe it's a rest of the team roster.
I think it's probably more of that than Marchand. I don't think it's a Marchand problem.
Right.
I think it's the rest of the team problem. I think there's probably a faction that has. It's like a Pastrnak Marchand two sides thing. Marchand wants to lead and hold Pastrnak accountable and other players accountable, and Pastrnak kind of does his own thing. And I think that's where some of that rift came from. I don't think they hate each other. I just think that when it comes to team atmosphere, they have two different philosophies. And Marchand's a give it every night kind of guy, and Pasternak's more of a flashy finesse European type player.
Sure.
And it's two different ways of playing and philosophies. And Bergeron probably kept that thing together, and now that he's gone, it kind of wilted a little bit. But again, I don't think they hate each other. I just think that they don't exist all that well in the locker room and ice. And I think that Marchand's more open than ever to leave. I do. And we're going to see on March 7th. And I'll be on this very program telling you all that I said so. And gladly. And I'll be happy about it because I'll get some friggin' assets for him so they can turn the page. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, turn the page.
I hear you.
I don't need to see Brad Marchand finish out his career on a shitbag team and have to do this every night, talking about Brad Marchand hanging on too long and your team sucks. I don't want to do that. Yeah. So as much as I like Marchand, I do, and I appreciate what he did, and his number can go up there and all that stuff. But ship him out and get some assets. He's the one guy you have. Other than your core, you're not going to trade. He's the one guy you have who can get you some real assets in return. Do it.
I agree.
Chirp number 6. How many more signs does Don Sweeney need to sell off a ton of pieces? Here are the 7. So someone, Michigan Mike, might have been Michigan Mike, who said, do they have seven guys? When I said, Connor said there were 7 guys. Carlo, Frederic, Geekie, Brazeau, Marchand, and there were a couple others in there.
Beecher, Wotherspoon, Peeke, Carlo.
So all those guys. Connor wants to sell all those guys. I don't know what you're going to get for half of those guys, but I think Carlo and Marchand. Oh, Coyle was another one. Carlo, Marchand, maybe Coyle a little bit. Frederic can get you something.
Yeah, I would. Look, I would sell all of those guys if you could. I would. Because I don't think they're part of the solution. I don't think they're part of what you want to do going forward. Mm-hmm. So, I think the guys you build around are the, McAvoy, obviously, Pastrnak, Swayman, and you go from there. And the rest are expendable. But I mean, look, like I said before, even those guys are expendable to me. Like if you get the right deal, I'd trade anybody.
Right. The guys that would really work to trade are Marchand, Coyle, Carlo, and Frederic. Those are the guys I'd really take a solid look at. What can I get for those guys?
Yeah.
And if you can trade all those guys and get some assets, then I'd consider re-signing Geekie or whatever, sure. At a low rate, sure. I mean, he might score 20, 22 goals. Great. Put him on the third line on a team down the road. Fine.
Mhm.
But those 4 guys, I would make a solid effort to see what I can get. Call all the teams and see what I could get for those 4 guys. And I think you can get, a good amount for those 4 guys. So do it. Like you did it with, he came in, Sweeney, and did it with Lucic and Hamilton and ended up getting some decent return for those 2 guys. Fucked up some of the draft picks, but it was a decent return. He did it half right. So, if you can get a first round pick with Martin Jones or whatever the fuck, that was pretty good. You know what I mean? You just fucked it up. That's all. Chirp 7. Who wins tomorrow night? Who steps up?
I hate to say this because it's what always happens. This is what always happens. Okay. As long as I can remember, what happens is the U.S. wins in the preliminary round. Women's hockey as well. Then they face Canada again when it counts, and they lose.
Yep. It happened in the Olympics there with
yes,
Zach Parise scored late, and then they lost on Sid's golden goal.
Yeah. So that's what I think is going to happen again. I think Canada is going to win in the finals. Well, let's say, and I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a close game. Let's say 4-3 in OT. We'll give it to McKinnon this time instead of Sid. Overtime goal for Nathan.
You're not going to go a la 1996 or whatever it was, All-Star game with Ray Bork scoring at home. You're not going Brad Marchand.
I thought about it, but he doesn't get enough.
He plays like 8 minutes.
Yeah, he doesn't get any ice. Tell you what, it would be fantastic if it's Team USA on the power play. Marchand's out there killing a penalty and he scores a shorty.
Oh boy, that would be apropos.
Scores a shorty to win it.
Oh man,
that'd be something.
That would be apropos. You know what? I'm gonna go. United States of America wins it, and I'm gonna go that the player of the game is going to be
one of the Czech brothers.
I think it's going to be
Jack Eichel, hometown kid.
Yeah, let's give it to Eichel. Eichel gets the golden goal. BU kid.
Yeah.
Chelmsford kid, golden goal in TD Garden. USA wins.
Love it.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah.
I hope that happens. That's what I want to happen. I want Team USA to win.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you can bet on it with DraftKings.
Can you?
I think DraftKings Sportsbook is Boston's hometown sportsbook. It's live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up with the code ITR to get up to $200 in bonus bets to use. Now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts. That's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If your loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist. Free and confidentially 24/7. Must be 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
All right, time for fan comments. And the good thing about doing these live episodes is that it's a little more intimate, so we can get to all the comments.
Yeah.
My two Jones. I'm making a night of it tomorrow night with a hockey friend of mine. Pizza, beer, and chance of USA. That sounds like a splendid Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah, and we're gonna go post game live, right?
We are going post game live after the game tomorrow night.
So we're gonna break down USA Canada right after that bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
Join us here again, and for all the tomfoolery and whatnot.
We're gonna break it all down tomorrow night live. So join us right after the game. Hasmick says he's Team Canada on this one, and he can't believe the tickets are $1,500. Well, I'll tell you, I can believe it. Now at all the hype. I mean, once the hype hit, you were screwed. You weren't going.
I feel like the tickets are more than that.
They are. I saw him at like $2,500 to $3,000. To be honest with you, in the Loge, I saw him like a lot. Like Loge was hot because I looked 2 days ago just to see by chance, and oh man, not very good at all.
Okay, here's I'm looking on Vivid Seats right now. You can get in the door for $834.
Okay.
That's
are you sitting with the Minnesota Wild team doctor?
Row 6.
Okay. Balcony row 6. Okay. Probably end.
Yeah, it's an end. It's a corner end.
Corner end.
Tickets go up to as high as $4,800. So
$4,800. Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, yeah. I mean that's what they wanted, the NHL. Michael Borland says, I believe Four Nations is a one-time thing. Next NHL international event is World Cup of Hockey. That's in 2028, I think. That's preliminary what they're saying. Hasn't been confirmed. Yeah. 2028. So 3 years from now. What's the Olympics? 26?
26, yep.
All right. So you go Olympics 26, you go Four Nations 27, World Cup 28.
I don't know if they'll see. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to alternate. I think Four Nations, I think he's right, is a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And I think they go Olympics,
change something.
Then they go World Cup of Hockey, and they do that every 2 years. So Olympics.
So that's where they add the teams, because
yes,
Michigan Mike made a good point that Czechia doesn't have enough NHL players since this is an NHL tournament.
Right.
So here are the Chechen players: Pastrnak, Jakub Voracek. Is he even playing still? Philip Hedl, Peter Mrazek, Martin Necas, Radko Gudas, Thomas Hertl, and Vladislav Nemesnikov are the only Chechens in the NHL. So they'd have to expand it to, what your world championship team would look like, probably.
Yeah, IIHF, and that's not this wasn't an IIHF.
No, this wasn't. So that's another thing about expanding teams. Is that do you have enough in the NHL? That's when you brought up your Team Europe thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go, Russia and then Team Europe.
Yeah, I mean they did it with the Fakta thing they did before with the young team North America and the young guns, and then I think they had a team here, so they can make up whatever they want to make up in order to have enough teams and enough guys there if they wanted to do it. But I think they're just going to do the World Cup of Hockey, and then the Olympics, and both those things are, I believe, are IIHF, so there should be enough players and enough teams in both those.
Yeah. Matthew Curtis says if the McAvoy injury doesn't tell Sweeney to sell, nothing will. Correct. Y2 Jones, McAvoy injury should help Sweens make an easy decision. Sell. Correct. Matthew Curtis watched 2 mock drafts, and the Bruins got shit on in both of them. Going to be infuriating to watch Sweens botch this shit again. Selling isn't in their DNA, says Hasmick. I too won't believe it until I see it. That's great. Robert Giuliano, mark my words, guys, the Bruins won't win the cup as long as Don Sweeney is general manager. I think that's a very good bet, Robert. Hasmick says, my guess is they didn't properly clean the site on McAvoy.
Yeah.
Giving him an injection. And I think that's probably what happened. Let's see. I think there's just as much a chance that Marchand retires at the end of the year as Hasmick. We think that he will probably play. I think it's 3. I don't know if anybody will give him 3 years, but I think they probably give him 2, and maybe go if 2 goes well, give him 1 more.
Sure. You can go 2 years and then year to year. Yeah,
2 years and then come back to the Bruins 3 years from now and finish it out.
Yeah,
maybe.
Retire as a Bruin, sure.
Yeah, retire as a Bruin. Some stranger says, has Milan Lucic retired? I don't believe he has put in his retirement papers. I think that he's just kind of waiting it out. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to make a camp next season. He's been out long enough now that he might be able to get a chance. But look, he's 36 now. And he's a big dude, and he couldn't skate anyway.
After he left the Bruins, he was training down in Jersey, I think, with some of the Devils guys.
He was. Because there was a chatter that he might get a tryout with the Devils.
Yeah.
And that didn't materialize.
Right.
Maybe that happens. Maybe someone gives him a tryout next season. I think he probably makes one more bid. I think. Because I would think he'd want to finish his career on a positive note.
Yeah.
Bruins 1970. I know we'd have to eat salary, but let's see what we can get for Elias Lindholm. I think you can get a bag of Funyuns in a soda pop right now for Elias Lindholm.
Maybe a gas station hot dog thrown in.
One of those gas stations. Like one of those good ones. So the ones that roll on the fucking thing all day long.
So maybe what with Costco hot dogs? Those things
are those are like $1.50. They're fucking dynamite.
Couple of Costco hot dogs, a bag of Funyuns, and a grape soda. That's what you can get for Elias Lindholm.
There you go. Hey, don't sleep on grape soda.
I love grape soda.
No, I'd take that for Elias Lindholm right now if he paid his salary. Sure. Bruins 1970 says Binnington isn't good enough. Well, Binnington's going to be in net, so let's see if he wins the Four Nations at TD Garden like he won the Stanley Cup there. 2 days ago, Hazmack says it was $1,500 for nosebleed seats. Russia is banned from international competition. That is true.
Yes.
But if we had a European team, they could play because it wouldn't be a Russian-specific team. So that's probably what they do, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe go European team. But is that what you want, though? I mean, that doesn't, Well, you got people playing from your nation, and then you get some group of European teams. I don't know.
Yeah. You're talking about, another year off. So, we'll see what happens with all that. And they could play. I don't know. There was talk of I don't know if they'd done it before or they played as like I don't know, like a collective of athletes from a play. Like I don't know. I think there might be ways around it to get them into the Olympics or get them into this thing to if they're not necessarily playing under the Russian regime or whatever.
There was an Olympic, I believe, recently where that happened, where technically the country was banned, but people were still able to participate by saying like the people of such and such instead of the country.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think there was something like that where they kind of skirted the rules in order for the people to participate. So you might see something like that.
Sure.
If they're still banned, who knows if they'll still be banned.
Sure. Bruins 1970 will take the chips and the pop for Lindholm as well.
Yeah.
Travis comes in. Trav says Bruins got to come out strong starting Saturday, win 16 of 25 games, and they'll surely make the playoffs. Okay, so let's do the math. 16 times 2 is 32. That gives them 92 points. Is that enough?
It's right
that's
on the
close. Edge. That's not guaranteed. That's close.
Right on the edge.
Right on the edge. It might be 18.
Time out. Are we actually rooting? Are we rooting for the Bruins to get in the playoffs?
Trav is a lifer. He wants them to make the playoffs. He's ultimate positive guy.
Trav is a positive. Trav likes to streak across Canada. So Trav needs the positivity.
Mm-hmm.
He needs. Where are you guys?
No one likes a negative streaker.
Are you guys right now for the playoff push, or are you more leaning towards yay, rah, rah, go tank?
For the for the betterment of the team, they should tank. Tank.
Yeah.
But when I watch the games, I still want them to win.
Yeah, you still want them to win. Here's the thing. I think organically they're going to miss the playoffs.
Yes.
So I think they have to be proactive and make the moves they need to make to help the team going forward. I don't think if they trade 2 or 3 guys that prohibits them from making the playoffs, because I don't think they're going to make it anyway.
Yeah.
So right now, it's not about tanking for me. It's just naturally letting the thing take its course. Really, it's not a purposeful tank because I don't think they have to do that. And if they tank right now from right here, I don't think they're getting high enough in the draft to really get like a Misa or a Higgins. So that doesn't matter either. Right?
Bruins 1970 says they'll tank by just playing the way they are.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's organically, it's going to happen.
Yes.
Samuel asks, who do you guys think ends up finishing the 2 wild cards by the end? I think it's going to be, well, here's the thing. Frank Saravelli's been talking about how Brady Tkachuk to Florida could be an actual thing by the deadline because of Brady and Matthew really having a great time playing together, showing great chemistry on the ice. I think Florida's really intrigued by it. Ottawa's been whispering about dangling Brady anyway. So I think that Brady could go to Florida. If that happens, that takes Ottawa out of it, I think. I mean, they might get Sam Reinhart in return, or Reinhart something pick. I don't know. So I don't know if that would take them out of the thing. There's not a lot of great teams in there, but I think Ottawa's one, maybe, and Columbus might sneak in there.
I'd like to see Columbus sneak in there.
Yeah.
Just for the Gaudreau story. I think it would be cool if they snuck in there. I think Ottawa's better than you. I do. I've said it for a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that Tkachuk trade goes down, that might alter some of that. But if they get a guy like Reinhart in there who can score it
might not make that much of a difference. You're right.
It might not. And then Detroit's playing well since McClellan took over. So, they've been playing well. Dylan Larkin certainly got a bump from this tournament, scoring the big goal the other night.
Yeah.
So, maybe that gives them a little boost, and their power play's been lights out, for going on a month now or whatever.
Yeah.
So, Detroit's a team that could sneak in there.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens April 3rd when we're in Montreal for Canadiens Bruins.
Yeah.
And who's on the team and where they are. And, if Boston and Montreal, or even, that could be, Montreal's going to have to win a few games here, but that could be a case where that's a huge game, playoff implications.
Yeah. Right now there's no one in the East that's really out of it, with the exception of Buffalo. And even Buffalo, right, if they really, went on a streak, could get back in the thing. Mm-hmm. They're only 6 back of the next 3 teams, Montreal, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, all have 55 points. So, there's a bunch of teams still hanging around. So, if anybody goes on a big winning streak or big losing streak, it could be the difference in them, getting in or missing out.
Right. I think I kind of rather have like young prospects that are a little more advanced than the whole draft pick thing, because those guys take a while. Unless they're really high picks, they tend to take a while.
Yeah.
So I kind of would rather have like a Callum Ritchie or a Marco Rossi, or guys, or even guys not quite as advanced as those guys, but more of the prospect kind of thing. Robert Giuliano says they may have a chance at Jake O'Brien if they go down to 10th pick in the draft, which I guess they could if they really freefalled. They're not that far from disaster. No. They're only 11 points ahead of Buffalo.
Yeah.
So if Buffalo goes on a streak and the Bruins start losing, they might find themselves down in the bottom 10 of the league. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's a quick 7-game stretch until they get to the trade deadline. So
all of their stats are in the bottom 10 of the league.
Yeah, they are. They look like a bottom 10 team.
Yeah, they're just playing above their stats right now.
Mm-hmm. They are. But as we've seen, it catches up to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's already starting to catch up to the Bruins, and I think this next 7-game stretch will just put the final nail in, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Michigan Mike says, why don't you guys come out to Detroit on 3/29 versus the Wings, then head up to Montreal for 4/3? Boy, that is an excellent idea.
It is an excellent idea.
Detroit to Montreal. My goodness. That would be great. Would be great. Yeah, a couple of Bruins games in 2 different cities.
Little Caesars Arena is awesome.
Is it?
Yes.
I bet it is.
So I went to the first year at Little Caesars and the last year at the Joe Louis Arena.
Yeah.
I assume it's still this way, But you could go on the concourse and legit fucking buy a whole Little Caesars pizza and take it back down to your seat and watch the game. It was fucking awesome.
That's good stuff. Pizza. Yeah. Yeah, that would. I've been to Vegas. I've been to Tampa.
Yep.
You've been to you were at the old Hartford Stadium, Hartford Whalers.
Yeah, Hartford Civic Center. Saw Bruins Whalers down there a few times. Obviously Boston Garden, TD Garden, Tampa.
You were in Montreal.
I was
in the old Molson, right?
Yep. I saw Bruins Kings game at the Forum way back when. Yeah, that's it. I haven't seen any. I haven't been to any other hockey rinks.
Yeah, so that'll be good to be in Montreal. We'll see what kind of Bruins team we have then. Travis says, watch the Bruins win 3 in a row coming out of the break. Then both of you, Maddie and Smitty, will be thinking differently. It's a big if, but not nevertheless. So they have Anaheim, at home, and I think then they play like Tampa and Florida again. I think, or 2 really good teams in that stretch. I think LA's in there.
I'll tell you who they play. They play Saturday the 22nd. They have the Ducks at home. Then Tuesday the 25th, they have the Maple Leafs at home.
Yep.
And Thursday the 27th, they have the Islanders at home.
Okay, so 3 home games. You need 6 points. Folks.
Yeah. Then they go to Pittsburgh, to Minnesota, Nashville at home, to Hurricanes, to the Lightning, host the Panthers, to the Senators, host the Lightning, host the Sabres, to the Golden Knights, to the Sharks, to the Kings, to the Ducks, to the Red Wings to close it out. So they close it out March with 5 straight on the road.
Which they've been bad. But
and then
they do have what 5 was that 5 games against non-playoff teams? That was at Pittsburgh.
I was counting them too. It was the Islanders, it was Pittsburgh, it was Anaheim, it was Buffalo, and it was Nashville.
Yeah. There's 5 non-playoff teams. You got to win them all. You got to have 10 points there if you have any chance. Yeah. And McAvoy
is if you lose all the other games that he just mentioned, it doesn't matter because you're like 5 and 15 in that stretch.
I mean, if they lose, 2 of those teams, and then they go play that gauntlet of teams like that, especially those road games, like it's just not going to work. If you have to beat, Anaheim and Pittsburgh and even Minnesota without Kaprizov, like you've got to beat the teams that you need to beat. Islanders at home. You've got to beat Toronto at home, which you've beaten. You've had success at home against them. You have to beat them. You have to win you have to win those 3 coming out of the gate. Anaheim, Toronto. We have to win those right out of the gate. If you don't get 6 points there, then you're in big trouble because you have good teams and road games after that. So, all right, please head over to the merch shop, grab some Bruins Benders merch, subscribe to the Inside the Rink YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we're going to be back at it tomorrow night, right after USA Canada 4 Nations Championship. We hope everybody joins us then, and then it'll be Saturday back at it with the Bruins and Ducks. Until then, as always, go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.